When the Vietnam War spread to the Southeast Asian country of Laos, the ethnic group of Hmong people living there were put in danger. Laos was destroyed due to the leader of North Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh, who sent his troops through a trail called the Ho Chi Minh Trail. This trail linked North Vietnam to South Vietnam, including Laos in the Vietnam War. The Hmong encountered fighting for their country, while also trying to reduce the rise of communist takeover. A strategic way they did this was agree to fight with the United States by being spies for their CIA. When the communists started taking over even more, Hmong had to surrender by escaping through the jungles and crossing the Mekong River to get to the safety of Thailand refugee camps. Of the Hmong who got to go to the camps, many were able to come to America, as this was their exchange for fighting alongside the United States in the Vietnam War. When the Hmong arrived in the United States, they had to explore a new culture and way of living. And prior to the Vietnam War, Hmong not only settled in Laos, but also China, Thailand, and Vietnam. They lived in the highlands, and after about 10 years, many would resettle for fresh, unused soil.
The Hmong people live way up in the mountains, so we pretty much have to clear land for farming. We take out all the weeds that grow along with the rice. At the same time, we usually plant corn.
Nia Cha Vu, a La Crosse Hmong refugee, writes, "Our old-time Hmong life was one of poverty, yet people loved each other." Another refugee, Ko Vang, also says that when she was young, she would often curl up with her siblings at night, as there were no blankets. Oftentimes, there wasn't even school in the mountains. Leading up to the invasion in Laos was Ho Chi Minh's fight for winning control of Vietnam. This occurred in 1945, when France controlled all of Vietnam. Fighting took place, but by 1954, the government decided it was too much, and the decision was made that Ho Chi Minh would get control of North Vietnam. These people became known as the Communists. South Vietnam became democratic. The United States became involved in the Vietnam War because they wanted to stop the rise of communism, which could later result in a bigger takeover. Surrounding countries were also convinced that if they didn't fight against the communists, the rest of the countries down to Australia would fall like dominoes as well. This was known as the domino theory. Moreover, Ho Chi Minh was not satisfied with only getting control over North Vietnam. This caused him to plan an invasion in the early 1960s. This attack spread through Laos when he was sending a supply flow from his North Vietnamese troops down the Ho Chi Minh Trail to South Vietnam, where the fighting was happening. The United States made the first turning point in this invasion when they secretly recruited thousands of Hmong men and boys to be spies for their Central Intelligence Agency, known as the CIA. The Hmong agreed to this as both countries were losing to the communist soldiers, and they thought teaming up would increase power.
Okay, anybody know CIA? CIA is a secret army for the United States. Okay, so they send a secret army to train people in Laos, train us to fight with the North Vietnamese in Laos.
An estimated 30,000 Hmong were involved in the secret invasion. According to Dr. Henry Kissinger, a speaker about the battle, the operation, conceived in doubt and assailed by skepticism, preceded by confusion. The communists were still having the greater odds. Tony Pao Zhang wrote about what was encountered. "Our men died horribly, leaving widows and orphans. Parents died, leaving their children alone. Children died, leaving their parents with nothing." General Vang Pao, the leader of the army, guided the Hmong in the decision that they had to flee from their homes.
We realized that we're not able to stay anymore. So I actually one of the group that trying to escape to Thailand at that time. If you want to go to Thailand, you have to go right now. And so I just gathered my things, a couple pounds of rice and then a blanket. And so we actually walked for a few days, from our village and to one of the bridge to get to the Mekong rivers. And when we got there, it took about, I think 2 nights actually for the boats to come to pick us up and cross over to Thailand.
Mua was just one of the thousands of refugees fleeing from Laos to get to the Thailand refugee camps across the Mekong River. Refugees would run the jungle for days. If the Hmong made it to the Mekong River, It was often a struggle getting across. Sometimes communists would be there waiting for them. They would try to go across in rafts and it would break, and even drowning to death. If the Hmong got across the Mekong River, many were able to get to the camps. The biggest camp, Bon Vinai, was just 9 miles from the Mekong. The camps are run by the United Nations, but the living conditions were horrible. However, the camps brought hope for someday being able to live in America. This was America's exchange to the Hmong for the Hmong helping them in the CIA.
The condition in there was so bad that, when people have to use the bathroom, they have to go find some place out, like, outside of the camps or around the fence of the camps, for them to go to use the toilet. Garbage is everywhere. There is no landfills for people to dump their garbage. So people dump their garbage, right by their house, wherever they can find a spot. There's kids everywhere, okay, because it was so crowded. Everybody was jammed into the camp. People don't have any privileges, which means that once you come into the camp, your rights are taken away because you are now a refugee.
Many secret battles were still going on at this time, and by 1975, all Americans were required to leave Laos. Soon after, in 1976, the Hmong were able to come to America.
A lot of people that make the choice to come to this country feel a lot better when they were out of this refugee camp, because when they come to this country, opportunity were given to them.
California, Minnesota, and Wisconsin were popular places the Hmong would be assigned to in America. A popular place was even the La Crosse region. In 1982, 600 of the 800 South Asian refugees in La Crosse were Hmong. A La Crosse survey showed that only 3.2% of refugees reported that they could speak English well. Groups in La Crosse started programs like the La Crosse Refugee Task Force, the Friendship Program of Christ Episcopal Church, and the Hmong Mutual Assistance Association, also known as the HMAA. The HMAA focused a lot on exploring things like education, especially English, getting a job for adult Hmong, everyday lifestyle in America, and even things like school registration. 315 out of 424 Hmong in La Crosse signed up for English lessons through the HMAA, and according to a volunteer tutor, John Parsons, their work ethic is incredible. I hope the program is helping them. They are working very hard.
When I got to this country at the age of 4, I began, seeing the American culture, accepting the American culture, and taking in all the things.
Yi Li, a Hmong refugee, comments, "Some people say that we don't have the brains to do what they're doing, and that's why we're not well off like they are. They say, you're not smart enough to go to school."
You've got to understand something, okay? Have you ever been through what these people have gone through? And instead of, yelling out and getting angry, I turned around and I said, you need to understand these people. You need to understand their language, what they went through, how they got to this country, and how hard it is to pick up a second language when you're in your 40s.
Although youth were often torn between two different cultures, many found it easier to adapt than adults. Now Zhu Vang explains that he wants his children having American education 5 days a week, with 2 days set aside to learning about the Hmong culture.
If you have a sense in your mind, okay, that you want to preserve your culture, meaning the Hmong culture, as well as taking in and embracing the American culture, and you have an equal balance of both cultures and you know exactly what's going on in each, then you will do well no matter where you're at, what you're at, and you will be able to accept both of the cultures.
Kao Kalia Yang wrote in her book about this journey. This year, we tell the Hmong story the way it is. Father, hold on, our dreams are coming. We didn't come all the way from the clouds just to go back without a trace. We seekers of refuge will find it, if not in the world, then in each other. If not in life, then surely in books. Our dreams are coming. Grandmother, I'm holding on to you as you were holding on to my father. Mother, I didn't forget you. My hand is all caught up in yours. Together we are typing on the keyboards of time. We will pick up the same breeze, the winds of summer. Our dreams are coming true, my Hmong brothers and sisters.